Welcome to Bromley Baptist Church Bite Size. We're going to take another look, things we could think about while perhaps our life is on pause during this lockdown. What defines you as a person? And are you happy with that definition? Are you happy with the reputation that you think you've got? When we go for a new job, we know that our new employers are going to check our references. They're going to ask our previous employers what they think of us. And we hope that they'll say that we're hardworking or a team player. But we fear they might say, enjoys the social side of working life, which is code for a bit of a chatterbox. If lockdown gives us a chance to think about things a bit more deeply, perhaps we could think about what we would like our reputation to be. What would we like to be defined by? Well, God is intensely interested in what defines you. God knows you at your very core. He knows the real you, and He wants you to be the best you can be. And He wants us to be defined as people who live according to His laws and values, which is how our life would be at its best. Take a look at Psalm 40, and if you've got a chance at the end of this recording, do read the whole psalm because it's a wonderful psalm. And David, the writer of this psalm, had done some truly awful things in his life, but he'd also done some amazing things, and he wants to be defined by the good. He wants to be known as somebody who sought God's heart, who lived according to God's values. He says in Psalm 40, the Lord put a new song in my mouth. And he says, I desire to do your will, my God. Your law is within my heart. We don't have to be defined by our past deeds. We don't have to be defined by the mistakes that we make, perhaps repeatedly make, by our self-centered actions. We can be defined differently. One of the benefits of the lockdown is that I can read the Sunday papers all the way through instead of just looking at the headlines and the Chelsea results like I would in normal times. And I read this amazing article recently about a prison in California where they're bringing in rescue dogs to rehabilitate the prisoners. So they pair up a nervous or violent dog with one of these prisoners, many of whom are murderous and violent. And the prisoner has to train the dog so that the dog becomes fit to be adopted out in the real world. And what's happening is that as the prisoners train the dogs, the prisoners are learning about themselves. They're getting an insight into themselves, which is much more positive than the definition that they might have had for themselves. And one man who is quoted in the article, who has 2 life sentences, so a serious offender, says, the trainers trust me to be a man, to be responsible, and they invest their time in me. That's huge for me, and it's my job to show them that's not been in vain. I want to challenge the belief that only bad people are in prison. We could easily put God into this sentence for ourselves. We could say, God invests His time in us, and it's our job to show Him that it's not in vain. We can work with God to have ourselves and our lives redefined, to be the person God wants us to be. So a final question then. What do we want our reputation to be? How do we want to be defined? And will we let God try and help us to get there? God bless you as you sing a new song with Him.